Among the slowly moving crowd of passengers, two familiar figures emerged, Kai and Tan Songyun. But this time, something felt different. It wasn't just a casual arrival, but a presence that seemed to carry significant, unanswered questions. This wasn't their first time in Paris in recent memory. That, in fact, was where the strangeness lay. In less than 30 days, they were back in the same city, the same airport, and with an even thicker aura of mystery. The public began to wonder what exactly was going on. Adding to the tension was the fact that their previous visit had gone largely unnoticed. There was no official announcement, no major media coverage, and even their own management team reportedly offered no clarification. It was as if the trip had been deliberately kept under wraps. Now, with their return openly to attend the Songyun Atelier fashion show, attention immediately drew to a suspicious pattern. Why the rush to return? And why did their previous trip feel like a shadow they were trying to erase? Some industry observers began to connect these two trips as an inseparable chain. They suspected their first visit wasn't just a vacation, but a carefully planned first step. A reconnaissance, perhaps? But on the other hand, others saw it from a more personal perspective. Paris, the city of love, always has an inexplicable allure. For some, one visit is never enough. Could it be that Kai and Tan Songyun were simply captivated by the city's atmosphere? Even so, it was hard to ignore the precise timing. The Songyun Atelier fashion show was no small event. It was a major moment in Tan Songyun's career as a designer. Her presence wasn't just as a celebrity, but as the creator behind the brand. Their return to Paris just before the event raised suspicions that the previous trip might have been used to ensure everything was perfect. The location, the concept, perhaps even the smallest details that could only be understood by being there in person. But if so, why was it all done so discreetly? Why was there no transparency, especially in an industry so reliant on public exposure? This is where the controversy began to grow. Some within the industry questioned the ethics of such a move. If this was indeed unauthorized surveillance, it could set a dangerous precedent in the international fashion business. Meanwhile, fans were divided. Some felt this was evidence of their growing personal closeness, while others saw it as a shrewd, albeit risky, professional strategy. On social media, speculation quickly grew. Every photo, every short video from the airport was analyzed in almost obsessive detail. Their body language, walking distance, even facial expressions, everything became the subject of debate. Interestingly, neither Kai nor Tan Songyun made a direct statement. This silence only heightened public curiosity. Sometimes, saying nothing speaks louder. Several anonymous sources stated that the first trip was planned privately. However, when linked to this fashion show, the narrative changed. What initially seemed like a vacation now seemed like part of a larger strategy. Paris itself seemed to be a silent witness to all this. The city, always synonymous with romance, was now the setting for a modern mystery involving two prominent public figures. Even among fashion journalists, discussion about this case was growing intense. Is this a form of innovation in business approach? Or is it a violation of established norms? What's clear is that the world's attention is now focused on Songyun Atelier. This controversy, whether intentional or not, has provided incredible exposure. Everyone wants to see the final result. But beneath all that lies a simpler, yet more difficult, question. What is the true motivation for this dual journey? Is it purely professional, or is there a personal side they're unwilling to reveal? Their every move in Paris is now under scrutiny. From their hotel to the location of the fashion show, everything becomes part of an evolving narrative. And when the day of the show finally arrives, one thing is certain: this is no ordinary fashion event. It is the climax of a story that began with a secret journey. Will all this be answered on the runway? Or will it just add another layer of mystery? One thing is undeniable: Kai and Tan Songyun's second visit to Paris is no coincidence. It is part of something much bigger, something still waiting to be revealed. Behind the glittering lights of Paris, there's an unseen rhythm, a rhythm of decisions, strategies, and perhaps even emotions never truly revealed to the public. This second visit feels like the next chapter in a deliberately half-written story, leaving room for speculation to run wild. Several eyewitnesses around Charles de Gaulle Airport reported seeing their interactions appear more relaxed than on their previous visits. There was no sense of rush, no visible pressure. This is precisely what made many even more suspicious. This calm often conceals something deeper. Some have also begun to attribute this decision to their career momentum. Tan Songyun is now not only an actress, but also a creative figure trying to break into the global fashion world. Meanwhile, Kai remains a figure with strong international appeal. The combination is too perfect to be a coincidence. Some analysts even called this a bold branding move. Combining an element of mystery with a visible presence on the global stage is a rarely used strategy, but when successful, the impact can be profound. The public sees not only the work, but also the story behind it. However, not everyone welcomed this. There were concerns that this approach could create a new, unhealthy standard in the industry, one where the lines between personal life and business strategy became increasingly blurred. On the other hand, Paris continued to play its role elegantly. The same streets, the same cafes, and the same atmosphere now became the backdrop for a different story. The city hadn't changed, but the meaning of their presence in it felt increasingly complex. As the fashion show approached, the pressure began to feel more palpable. Every detail was under scrutiny, from the collection design to who was sitting in the front row. Everyone wanted to find the clues that might explain these two mysterious journeys. And when they were finally seen together on the set, the cameras captured not only their appearances, but also a connection that was hard to define. Whether it was a professional partnership, a close friendship, or something more personal, no one really knew. Ultimately, perhaps that's what made it all so compelling. It wasn't just about fashion, it wasn't just about Paris, it was about a story that wasn't fully told. A narrative that lived on, evolving, and leaving the world wondering, what exactly were they planning next? As the runway lights dimmed and the guests slowly left, the atmosphere didn't immediately calm down. That's where the real conversation began. Whispers among industry insiders intensified, trying to piece together the pieces of the event into a coherent conclusion. Some began to realize that perhaps the answers they sought would never truly be revealed. Tan Songyun and Kai seemed to have a firm grasp on how to strike a balance between exposure and mystery, visible enough to be talked about, but not open enough to be guessed at. Outside the building, the Parisian night went on as usual, seemingly unaffected by the unfolding drama. But for those who had followed this story from the beginning, it was clear that something had changed. It wasn't just about two trips to the same city, but about how both were now perceived on a larger scale. And perhaps that's the point, not just answering public questions, but creating new, deeper ones. Because as long as that curiosity remains, their names will continue to be in the spotlight, transcending the runway and reaching something far broader than just the world of fashion.